In the last year, we've sent over 2 million cold emails and generated over 3,000 meetings for all our clients, all while keeping our inbox placement rate between 95 and 97%. That means we are sending thousands of emails every single day with extremely high deliverability. But this is actually the hardest part of doing cold email at scale, because most people try this, burn their domains within weeks. They buy new mailboxes from somewhere, start blasting emails, and then wonder why everything they send is going to spam. So in this video, I am going to break down the exact system we use at my agency, Richflow, to be able to send emails at this volume. I am talking about our infrastructure setup, the warm-up process, the sending configuration, and everything else that makes this possible. Let's dive right in. The foundation of sending thousands of email a day starts with your infrastructure, and there are a few things here that are completely non-negotiable. First, always use secondary domains. Never send cold emails from your primary domain ever. I still see companies doing this, and it's the fastest way to burn your domain and to destroy your business email. What happens is that when your prospects mark your cold emails as spam, and some always will, it damages your domain reputation. If that's your primary domain, now your internal emails to clients, suppliers, and even employees are landing into spam. So what we do is buy secondary domains that are as similar as possible to our main domain. For example, if your main domain is richflow.com, you can buy gorichflow.com, getrichflow.com, etc. And this is important. Make sure every single secondary domain you buy redirects to your main domain, so that when prospects look you up, they can still find who you are. And that's how we do it for all the clients we work with. Second, understanding the math. We use a maximum of 25 cold emails per mailbox per day. We assign 2 mailboxes per domain, so each domain is sending about 50 emails a day. For example, to get to 1000, you will need 20 domains and 40 mailboxes. That gives you 1000 emails a day, Monday through Friday, which comes out to about 5,000 emails per week and 20,000 emails per month. And this is extremely important to understand. You want to scale horizontally by adding more secondary domains and mailboxes, not by pushing more volume through individual accounts. Now, if you're hearing all of this and thinking, okay, that's a lot of mailboxes and domains to set up, you are right. Because when we started doing this years ago, we had to go buy domains on GoDaddy, manually configure every DNS record, create each mailbox one by one in Google Workspace, and then connect everything to our sending platform. For dozens of domains and mailboxes, that's hours of setup work before you even send a single cold email. So if you are just getting started with cold email without spending days on manual setup, I recommend using a tool like Smartlead. Inside Smartlead, there is a feature called Smart Senders. Let me move this one moment. And it basically lets you purchase domains and create mailboxes within the platform. So instead of going to a separate domain provider, buy domains there, then going to Google Workspace, creating accounts there, then manually adding SPF, DKM, and DMARC records to each one, and then connecting everything back to Smartlead, you can do all of it all in one place. Okay, so you just saw here that I selected 20 mailboxes with Google, and then I wrote here Richflow. So those are the suggested domains that Smartlead is recommending it. So here I will just need to press continue and then assign a name, a surname to the mailboxes, and they will be created in one moment. Important, the DNS authentication, SPF, DKM, DMARC, all of that gets configured automatically, which is the part that saves the most time, because doing it manually for 20 domains is where most people either makes mistakes or give up. They offer both Google and Microsoft accounts, and since your warm-up and campaign sending are also inside Smartlead, you are managing your entire infrastructure from one dashboard instead of jumping between 3 or 4 different tools. This is is what I recommend to anyone who is setting up the infrastructure for the first time or scaling up, because the fewer manual steps involved, the fewer things that can go wrong. Once your domains are bought and your mailboxes are set up, you cannot start sending emails right away. This is probably the most important thing I'll say in this video. You need to warm up your accounts first. Think of your sender reputation like a credit score. If you never had one, nobody's going to trust you with a high limit on day one. Warming up means building that credibility with email providers gradually, so they start seeing your mailboxes as legitimate senders. Again, you will need a tool for this, and the best option here is also Smartlead. It has a built-in warm-up feature that connects your mailboxes to a network of over 25,000 verified accounts. These accounts open your warm-up emails, reply to them, and most importantly, if any of your messages end up in spam, they move them back to the inbox. And that last part is huge, because when an email gets moved from spam to inbox, it signals to the provider that this sender is not spam, and that builds your reputation over time. Here's the warm-up configuration that I found works best. We set the daily warm-up volume to 30 emails per day as a target, but we don't start at 30. We use the daily ramp-up feature, which starts at about 5 warm-up emails on day 1 and increases gradually until it reaches 30. This simulates natural human sending behavior, which is exactly what you want. For the reply rate on warm-up emails, we keep it around 30 to 40%. This tells Smartlead how many of those warm-up emails should get a reply, which creates engagement signals that providers look at. We always run warm-up Monday through Sunday, not just on business days. And there is something many people get wrong. Never turn off your warm-up once you start your campaigns. We always leave a background warm-up running indefinitely, even when campaigns are active. This maintains your domain reputation during any gaps between campaigns. Think of it as an insurance policy for your inbox placement. This is how we consistently maintain that 95 to 97 inbox rate month after month. With your infrastructure set up and accounts warmed, now it's time to actually configure your campaigns for sending. And there are a lot of small things that you need to take into account. First is the sending limits and timing. As I mentioned, we cap each mailbox at 20 to 25 cold emails per day. Then the sending schedule is set to match the recipient's time zone. If your prospects are on Spain, you can type here Madrid. And if they are in New York, same. You send on Easter time. We typically start sending around 8:40 and stop around 4 p.m. Smartlead has a built-in feature that adds slight randomization to your send times. So your first email isn't always going out at exactly the same minute every day. This simulates how a real person sends emails, and we leave a minimum of 15 to 20 minutes between each email sent from the same account. The next one is always use plain text. No HTML, no images, no links in the email body, please. When you add a link, it introduces HTML tracking code that providers can flag. Even adding a phone number or physical address can trigger HTML rendering on mobile devices, which increases your spam risk. We also, if you see here, disable open tracking and click tracking entirely. The tracking pixel that monitors email opens damages your sender reputation over time. If your emails need to have signature, keep it as plain text. Just your name, title, and company, nothing more. Next up, use spin tags. If you send the same email to thousands of people, email providers will detect the pattern and flag it. Spin tags solve this by creating variations of your message so that no two emails look identical. For example, instead of saying always, I noticed that, you'd create variations like I saw that, I came across, same meaning, but different words. You do this throughout the email. For example, in the greeting, in the body, and the closing, even the signature. This is an example of how to use spin tags. Look, if I click here, save, and preview, you will see that only one is showing, and each time will show one of these three options. We use spin tags in every single campaign we run at our agency. And you can see that it's built natively into Smartlead sequence editor. This is important. You don't need to overdo this either. Adding variations in the first line, in the middle, and the end of your email is more than enough to make each message look different to providers. Then there is provider matching. This is a setting inside Smartlead that I recommend you always enable. What it does is match your sending account type to the recipient's inbox type. So if your prospect uses Gmail, Smartlead will prioritize sending from your Google accounts. And if they use Outlook, it will send from your Outlook accounts. This matters because Gmail to Gmail delivery tends to perform much better than cross-provider sending. And the same is true for Outlook to Outlook. Your lead list matters for deliverability too. You can have a perfect setup, but if your list is bad, you'll still land in spam. The biggest killer is bounce rate. When you send emails to addresses that don't exist, they bounce back. And if that rate goes above 2%, your sender reputation takes a serious hit. This is why I recommend using Smart Prospect inside Smartlead to build your list. The leads come pre-verified, so you skip the entire step of running everything through a separate verification tool. You can see here that you can filter by industry, sub-industry as well. Let's say that we want to search business services, also VP director and manager level, and then location, let's say Florida, headcount. Here, this is an example in which we can just click here, find emails, and you will see that it works with crates. And once you find the emails, Smartlead will enrich all of them, and you can push directly these leads with verified emails to your campaigns with one single click. Getting to the inbox is one thing. Staying there over weeks and months is what actually matters. Deliverability is not something you set up once and forget about. It requires constant attention. So what we do is run spam tests every single week. Inside Smartlead, there is a feature called Smartlead.ai that lets you test your emails against their pool of Google, Outlooks, and other accounts before you send to real prospects. You can see exactly where your emails are landing: inbox, spam, or promotions. So let's click here, start the spam test, and you can see here that we have two options: automatic test, in which you can, for example, say, let's run a test, it's Saturday, or a manual test, maybe only for right now. Let's choose manual test. In Richflow, we run an automatic test each Saturday morning, but you can see it's super straightforward. Let's say test, then you can move it to a folder if you use folders inside a Smartlead. You can also check the links in the email if you are using them. If not, it's not necessary. Then you have to choose the campaign, the exact message that you want to test, and of course the providers. If you are only sending to G Suite, you don't need to test Office 365, but if you are sending both, of course, it's a good idea to test both. There's another option in which you can warm up your campaign copy, and then you just click here, save and run test, and you will have the results. As I said, we run these tests every Saturday morning when we are not sending cold email for our clients. That way, when we come in on Monday, we can review the health of every single account and know which ones are landing in spam before we send a single campaign. If any account is consistently hitting spam, we pause it, check the authentication records, reduce the volume, and restart the warm-up process. I have to say that no single spam testing tool is 100% accurate. So as you grow, you can layer in additional testers like MailReach to cross-reference results. Now, as a best practice, keep backup mailboxes ready at all times. And what's that? We always keep a second set of domains and mailboxes warmed up and ready to go. If a set of accounts starts underperforming, we can swap in the backups without any gap in our campaigns. This means buying extra domains, setting up extra mailboxes, and keeping them in warm-up even if you are not actively using them. It costs a bit more, but it means you never have to stop sending while you troubleshoot a deliverability easier. And super important, and all of this is inside the master inbox. If you are getting a lot of angry responses or people telling you your email isn't relevant, that's not just a copy problem. It's a deliverability input. Those people are the ones marking you as a spam, which directly affects your sender reputation. Stop the campaign, look at your list first and your messaging, and figure out what's off before you continue. The feedback your prospects give is some of the most valuable data you have for protecting your deliverability. So if you want to start sending cold emails at volume without destroying your deliverability, try Smartlead for free with their 14-day trial by clicking the first link in the description. It's the platform we use across every single client at Richflow, and it handles warm-up, campaign management, spam testing, and deliverability monitoring all in one place. So click that link below to start using it for free. And if you want to see exactly what I will do if I were starting cold email from zero today, then watch this video next.